many hearts were touched. And for me, the resounding proclamation of Jesus, and how the Christian faith can proclaim that we have a God who has embraced all of our sufferings, a God who had already been there before we even started experiencing our own pains. That's a tremendous message to the whole world. And so in your suffering, you're never alone. You may feel alone, but that's not the case. You are not alone. No less than the Son of God is with you. And the beautiful turn to Our Lady, Our Lady was entrusted to us, and so we could cling to her. This beautiful message during the Mass. And it was also moving that before the final blessing, the Holy Father led us into thanksgiving. Imagine, he's telling us, in the midst of all this, we should not lose this sense of being grateful and thankful. A very, very simple but Christian, deeply Christian attitude. And then, the motorcade going to the bishop's house. Some people were whispering, let the Holy Father take the closed car. No. This is the reason why I am here. I am here to show solidarity. So if people had waited and had sacrificed, under the heat of the sun, the winds, and also the rain, then why should the pastor not be with them? And I asked him later on, after the Mass, I said whether he had celebrated Mass already with a raincoat on, over the chasuble. I said, no, this is the first time. So you see, unique. It's a historic event also. And on the flight coming back here, I asked him whether he, like the Filipinos, whether he is accustomed to this type of typhoons and storms. He said, no. I have experienced occasional rain, but this type. He said, no. So again, a first for him. And when we reached the Archbishop's house, again, the official program was for him to have lunch with 30 persons who had experienced loss of life and loved ones and relatives and property. And we had people from Bohol who had lost also members of their bodies, who were present. It was an intimate encounter. Of course, we did not have time to have lunch. I entered the room earlier to brief the 30 people, and I asked them already about their situations, so that when the Pope comes and asks them questions, so when the Pope entered the dining room, it was already 11:45, and we were given only up to 12. By 12, we should get out. So he went around, greeted each one, and when he had taken his seat, I asked each one just to say a few words, especially about the loss that they had experienced. And I'll never forget the face of the Holy Father. Listening to each one, I lost my parents and a brother. I lost everything. And then one woman said, I lost my husband, I lost my son, and I lost 5 daughters. And you could see the Holy Father just shaking his head. And at some moments he would say, oh, oh, oh. No. He was suffering. He was suffering. Yeah. And when I asked him, do you want to say a few words before we go? He said, but what can we say? What can we say? The silence of someone before this mystery of suffering. I thought he would repeat the central message of his homily. But before these 30 persons, he himself was reduced to silence. The communion and solidarity that happens in silence. And I was very happy that I was asked to join them and to do some translation work. And then he apologized to them for cutting short the lunch. But he encouraged them, eat. Yes, because they stopped eating. You eat. No? But who could eat in front of the Holy Father and the Holy they were just looking at him. I said, kumain kayo! You eat. And then they tried. And then he asked them, one of them asked the Holy Father, can you please pray for the souls of our loved ones who perished during the... And the Holy Father said, when I heard about the typhoon 2 years ago, I offered Mass right away for all of you and your departed. And he said, my Mass tomorrow in Manila, in Luneta, he said, the intention is for your departed. And they broke into an applause. And then, as has been a trademark already of his speeches, he said, please pray for me. And I translated it in Filipino, and they said, yes. And then the Pope asked, are you sure you will pray for me? I translated, yes. So they just loved having him. And then, of course, he blessed the center for the poor, but it was very quick because the plane had to take off at 1:00. Then we went to the cathedral. His original plan was just to bless the people from the door. But when he saw the priest, the religious, he was prevailed upon. So he went up the altar, said a few words, cracked some jokes, apologized again. So it was an intense half day. I should say I feel emotionally tired. No, but my eyes were really fixed on him. Yes, as I said, while it is for me already taken for granted that he will bring inspiration to many people, what I am really curious about is how he will be affected by our people and the suffering that they convey to him. And lastly, when we had already boarded the plane, I asked him, so how is it, Your Holiness? Are you tired? Are you afraid? Because this is your first typhoon. But he said, this visit is really for me. This is for me. I'm learning. This visit is for me. Wow, that's how to be a pastor. You learn, and you never stop learning. And you bring it to your heart, you reflect on it in the light of the Word of God, then again, you can speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Eminence. Father Lombardi.
Thank you. I am not a witness of the act of Cardinal Tagle. But I have also the possibility to participate in this historical event, and then I will give you some help, maybe, or some information to understand the situation. First of all, the Pope has been informed of the death of our young friend here immediately after coming back to the Nunciature. And then he has asked immediately the collaborator, Dr. Gasbarri in particular, to take information about who is, where, the family, and so on, to have then the ways to find then the ways to participate and to demonstrate his suffering and his participation in this death. And the Pope today in the afternoon, after coming back, has had a little rest, and then he had until 7 not meeting with his collaborator. Then we will learn later on this evening or tomorrow what he has decided to do or how he will express his participation to the family of our friend. Second thing, yes, you were already asking me in the past days about the typhoon that was coming and what was the preparation for us to this situation. Gasbarri said to me that yesterday evening he was in contact with the pilot of the aircraft who said to him, we have to leave as soon as possible because during the day the situation will be worse. And then he has said this to the Pope. The Pope said, yes, I have come to the Philippines before all to be in Tacloban tomorrow. I am ready to anticipate what is needed because we have to fly there in any case. And this morning, as you know, the flight was anticipated half an hour, more or less, but it was already important. This morning, during the flight, there was already, again, a telephone connection with the people that were at the ground in Tacloban, and they say there is great rain, great wind. It is very difficult to celebrate the Mass on open air. And then they had some proposal to go to the cathedral or to go in the sacristy, in the tent, and to show to television the Pope celebrating Mass. Gasbarri said this to the Pope. He said, absolutely no, it is impossible. Where are the people? The people are on the ground, out. We have to be with them and celebrate with them. This was totally clear. But it is, if you understand who is the Pope Francis, there's not a need many explanation. And then, as you have heard at the very beginning of the homily, he has said how his personal experience was 1 year ago, as he was informed and he saw the image of the typhoon, and his decision to come to the Philippines came then as a decision to be with the people that were suffering of the typhoon. And he has expressed this very sincerely, but it was really a moment of truth about his most profound intention for this visit. And yes, as the Cardinal has said, this experience of celebrating Mass under the rain, with the storm, this is something that has a profound meaning in this situation, because this is exactly the experience of these people now and much worse 1 year ago. And then to participate in their situation, you have not to be here in a sunny day with, but in this situation, it was most profound, very profound experience. If I can, I would remember another similar experience with John Paul II in Sarajevo. Sarajevo is the capital of the Bosnia, was destroyed by the civil war, by the war in Yugoslavia. And the Pope John Paul II decided to be there to celebrate the Mass and to be present with the people immediately after the war, as he came. And the Mass was celebrated during a wind and snowstorm. I remember this. It was terrible cold, and it was very difficult to resist in the situation. But the Pope, also John Paul II, said at the end, yes, in this way we have really taken part in the experience and in the suffering of these people. I think there are such situations, have problems, obviously, but have a profound spiritual meaning of being with the people that suffer the consequences of these tragedies and disasters. How many people were there? I think 200, 300,000, maybe 200,000 at the place of the Mass, and then many other on the street. If we say 300,000, I think this is realistic. This is a huge number with the situation in which the event took place. Another little thing is the Marian aspect of the homily of the Pope. This is also characteristic. And the icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help was wonderful, was really wonderful. I don't know if you have noted the image of the icon of Our Lady. And it was so expressive with the little child that asked for help. This has touched very much also the Pope, and this dimension has to be noted. Our Mother, Mommy, and so on. But also the celebration was wonderful, organized, and the songs in Binisaya were wonderful. And we have noted that even if the weather was terrible, the attention in the celebration was very high. Another little thing, in the way through, behind, in mezzo tra,
in the midst. In the midst.
From the Mass to the bishop's house, there was a stop of the Pope at a little poor house of a family that also suffered very much by the typhoon. The idea was to have a longer stop, also was reduced very much, but it was another sign of personal contact with concrete people on the way to the Archbishop's house. Another aspect of the events that was previewed was the blessing of the Center for the Poor near to the Archbishop's house. Practically took place only with a blessing from the Pope Mobile, without a specific stop and a little stop and the blessing. But the Center of the Poor is also an important institution, and if you can report about it with the information, it has a certain importance. It was built with the help of Corunum. Therefore, Cardinal Sarah was there here in the plane with the Pope, because he was the prefect of Corunum as this center has been built. And the organization is led by the Korean community that the Pope has met in Korea in a large center for handicapped and children and elderly people and so on. In this sense, there are connection to the other work of charity that the Pope knows and has visited. I have to stress another thing that can be interesting. The Pope has not pronounced the full text of the homily that we have given you, and has not pronounced the text of the speech in the cathedral. But these texts were written and prepared by the Pope for this occasion, and we publish them, and you can use them as public text of the Pope, even if he has not pronounced them. This is an important thing. If you read the text, find important quotation, then you can use them. It is important in the context of this journey, because the Pope says many things also in this speech that are well integrated in the total horizon of this speech. For instance, I ask that the poor throughout this country be treated fairly, that their dignity be respected, that political and economic policies be just and inclusive, that opportunities for employment and education be developed, and that obstacles to delivery of social service be removed. Our treatment of the poor is the criterion on which each of us will be judged. I ask all of you and all responsible for the good of society to renew your commitment to social justice and the betterment of the poor, both here and in the Philippines as a whole. These signs, I think, are important texts. I recommend not to leave these by side because they are not actually pronounced, but are texts of the Pope for you and for the Philippines. Well, this is practically what I had in mind to say to you, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Lombardi. Before we entertain questions from the floor, may we know if we are now connected to the IMC, to the International Media Center?
Good evening, Edwin. Your Eminence, Your Grace, this is Mello. We're ready. So please start the questions. We'll follow suit.
Okay, thank you. I'll get back to you, IMC. The floor is now open for questions. Please begin with your name and the network you represent. Who has the first question? Yes.
Good evening. John Neri from The Inquirer. That was a very powerful, very moving homily in Tacloban. Just a quick question, Eminence and Father Lombardi. When and why did the Pope decide to set aside his prepared remarks and speak from the heart?
Every time in which we are in a particular intense situation, the Pope desired to speak from the heart. Sometimes maybe he is tired or he feels not to be able to find the right word, and then he reads the speech. But if he feels that the emotion and the strength is there to express more spontaneously his art, then he does this. And in this trip, this is very interesting. This is a paradigmatic situation, because the Pope has done a great effort to prepare himself with text in English to be understood and to let the people listen directly from his voice what he has to say. But he feels sometimes that he can express still better what he has in the heart through his spontaneous expression in Spanish, sometimes in Italian, this here in Spanish is normal, and through the translation. Also because he has a wonderful translator, we have to say, that does his work very well. And then I think that this mix is very, very good. In particular, during the meeting with the families, it functions very, very well. But this morning, there was not possible to have a longer time, and then the Pope has done a synthesis from his heart. It was, for the people that were present, sufficient.
May I add? I sort of suspected that something like that would happen when we were told, first of all, that the Mass will be made simpler. And so not all of us would concelebrate. So if you noticed, there were just Cardinal Parulin, myself, Archbishop Du, who were asked. And then Monsignor Miles was asked to be there. So I said, probably the Holy Father, seeing the situation, really would want to speak outside of the prepared text. Yeah, it happened.
It is your turn, IMC. Do you have a question there?
Yes, we have.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, please. Let's start with the gentleman here, please. Please identify yourself and the media entity you come from.
Good evening. My question is...
Your name and your entity, please.
I'm Teddy Lechadores of Metro Daily. My question is directed to Cardinal Luis Tagle and Father Federico Lombardi. What is it that makes people shed tears every time the Holy Father comes near? This is not the usual. I saw the people crying, bursting in tears. And this is not the usual tears of joy. Father?
Your Eminence, Father Lombardi.
Let me start it and then you correct it, Father. In the Christian tradition, there is something that is called the gift of tears. And it is a gift because it comes when there is a profound experience, especially a deeply human experience which also reveals to you something of the divine. And it is so profound, and you are before it, and your body responds to it in a very physical way. And one of those ways is through tears. And so as what's the name of the person who asked the question? Sir.
Yeah, from Metro Daily.
Yeah, from Metro Daily. As he had it doesn't look like tears of joy, but if you ask the people, it is also tears of joy. Tears of joy at the same time, tears of consolation, tears of being considered important, or just the tears of realizing I matter. I was approached, I was seen, etc. You could see that.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yes.
I have not very much to add. I think it was a profound answer for the Cardinal Tagle. Sometimes we are very profoundly moved until the roots of our hearts, of our being, and then it happens that we are a little confused, and it is not easy to explain what we are experiencing, but we feel that there is something working in us, in our profound soul and heart. And this is normally expressed also through tears. There can be emotion, commotion, we say, And in the faith, we announce consolation to the people that are in profound suffering or that are in profound conversion or in a situation of a particular deep feelings. And in this sense, the Christian faith has to announce that Christ is with you. This is the message that the Pope has given. Even if you are profoundly moved and suffering, you are not alone. And what you feel is something that can be the beginning of a way of healing, a way of and resurrection and joy. This is the message was through the cross to the resurrection.
I'll get back to you. IMC from the Diamond Hotel. Who has
Yes.
the next question? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dario Agnota. I write for Kyoto News, Japanese news agency. I'd like to know more about the lunch with the Pope and the 30 other invited guests. What was served in that lunch? And did the Pope say something about the lunch? Did he like a particular ulam during the lunch? Thank you.
You know, I was not able to eat lunch. And I think I saw in front of me just a bowl of soup. And then it was time to go, so I was not served. You know, I'm feeling hungry right now. I hope this press conference ends in a good, how do you call it, lunch and dinner combined. Yeah, and I saw the Holy Father tasting the soup, and I tasted, and I said, Holy Father, it's cold already. He said, don't worry. He said, it's hot. The weather, no, it's warm here in the room, so that's okay. The soup may be cold. It's some sort of chicken soup. No, not tinola, because I prepared that. No, it was not that. Yeah. But that's a good question. And I did not see the dishes because we really rushed through it. No.
But the Pope was able to eat the, what do you call this? Eat something aside from the
The soup, yeah, and I saw him cutting a bit of the salad, you know. But on the plane, he ate some, I think, potato chips or something.
Thank you, po.
So IMC, I hope you heard that. We're rushing to feed the Cardinal.
Yes. We'll just have two questions. Don't worry, Edwin.
Don't
We'll just have
shed
two
a tear
questions.
for me.
Okay, can we have the first question that you have there?
Yes, let's have the gentleman on the red shirt. Please identify yourself and the entity you come from.
And make it
Please.
short, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
And keep it short, sweetheart.
Question. Good evening. I'm Juvino Galang of Bombo Radio Philippines.
Yes, please.
Question to Archbishop Tagle. Sir, how was the Pope feeling after first time experiencing heavy rains on his state visit?
Well, I think he was also quite worried. Kasi nga, we were told the flight must leave at 1 o'clock. So when I approached him and said, is it true, Your Holiness, that you will not enter the cathedral? You'll just greet the people at the door? I said, but there are 10 kilometers to get to the airport. I said, oh, okay. No, but in the end, he also went inside. He was very, I could see how concerned he was. And twice, in the lunch and in the cathedral, he explained to the people that if we do not take off at 1 o'clock, the situation might get worse. And we do not know how we could get to Manila. So a part of him probably really doesn't want to make the situation something of a problem for the people in Tacloban, the security, etc. But he also looked excited, because he said, this is for me. This is an experience for me. Learning something, experiencing something, and it's very pastoral. getting to know what people go through. In fact, he was surprised that we in the Philippines get an average of 20 to 22 typhoons. He said, what? He said, and this is just a normal typhoon. Tifone normale.
Okay, may we have the next question from the floor? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Katerina Francisco from Rappler. I'd like to ask, what would we have expected from the Pope if his trip hasn't been cut short? And were there any surprise visits or activities that were in his schedule or itinerary? Thank you.
Yeah. As I said at the beginning, even if it was cut short, all the planned activities were accomplished. Yeah. So if it were not cut short, then we should have followed this schedule, like an hour here or 2 hours there. No, but this time we spent just a few minutes.
It is your turn, IMC. Go
Thank you
ahead
very
with your
much.
question.
Yes, please. Please go ahead. Please identify yourself.
I'm Bernie Anabo of Metro National Daily News. Actually, I have question and request to Father Lombardi.
Please go ahead.
Kindly extend to Pope Francis because we don't have any time to talk with him. A lot of people
Yes.
trying to talk with him. We have wished to please pray our country for peace and pray for us, the media practitioners, for our protection because sometimes we were in critical situation and rendering truth and balanced journalism. Could it be possible, Father Lombardi? What? Second question.
Well, that's a request, right?
That is a request. My
Okay.
question is addressed to your Eminence Cardinal Tagle. I would like to ask what was the first impression of the Pope to my fellow Wara in Leyte Samar, considering that even we were devastated by Typhoon Haiyan, we didn't lose hope, and the calamity that we experienced served as a challenge how deep our faith is with God.
Okay. Thank you very much. Your Eminence, please.
For the first question, obviously, the Pope is always very attentive to the needs of all, and he knows very well also the journalists because a group of them is always traveling with him, and he is very aware of the problem that the journalists have and they work. And then he will pray also for them and for their work, because he knows that the journalists, the communicators, are very important collaborators of spreading the good news. His service is service for the mankind. Is announce of the message of the gospel can go far if he is helped by the good work of the communicators. In this sense, he loves the work of the communicators, and he hopes that they are aware of the importance of their vocation, I would say, of their mission. And in this sense, you can be sure that he will pray for you and for all the communicators of the world, because they have a very important mission to help to spread the message of love, of mutual understanding, of justice and peace, and so on.
Thank you very much, IMC.
For the... Yes, Your Eminence, please.
I think the Holy Father was quite shaken to see for himself and to hear the stories of people, especially the young people who shared with him the loss of their parents and brothers and sisters. He asked me about one girl. Where does the girl live now? And said, oh, yeah, she lives with a friend of her mother. No, so I think I could only guess what's happening in his mind, what's going through in his mind, like, wow, so young and already subjected to such suffering. But he also was quite inspired, by the faith, the hope of the people. And at one point, we even, the same biblical text came to our minds, and how Jesus praised the Father, God the Father, for revealing to mere children, no, the secrets of the kingdom. So this simple, even suffering people, why do they know the joy of the kingdom of God?
Yes, thank you very much. So,
Edwin, we'll have one more question later.
yes, okay, so we'll have a final question from IMC, but before that, yes, ma'am, you were raising your hand?
Good evening. I'm Jam Sasante from GMA Network. Cardinal, we were informed that during the turbulent flight back to Manila, Pope Francis stood up and approached someone. And may we know who that person is and what Pope Francis told that person during the flight back to Manila?
I do not know whom he approached. No. Yeah, but I saw him getting up. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I did not follow him with my eyes.
Thank you.
Okay, it is your turn. Yes.
No, I think he had something to say to Monsignor Vigano, to the director of the Vatican Television Center. I don't know if he was asking if the event were broadcasting or not, something like this, a simple information that he, sometimes he comes or he calls me and say me, please remember to do this point in your briefing and so on. This is very normal. If he has something in mind, he comes and he says to you.
So may we have your final question, IMC, and then we'll have our final question from the floor here at Diamond Hotel. Go ahead.
Thank you, Edwin. The question comes from me as the moderator.
Oh.
The question goes to His Eminence Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle and to Father Lombardi. His Holiness will face the youth tomorrow and celebrate Mass at the Luneta. Kindly tell us, how tired is he considering his age of 78? Thank you.
At the end of every event, I would nag him, how are you? Do you feel tired? And he's very frank and very honest. He says, yes, a little. And he even, with the long hours of standing, you know, on the Pope Mobile and during his speeches, I think he begins to feel. But when he sees the crowds, in fact, when was that? I told him upon the recommendation of Dr. Johnny, said, you whisper to the Pope that it's okay for him to sit, you know. But I told him that, and then he sat. Then when he saw a crowd, he stood up again. Now, so in that sense, he does not get tired. It's easy to energize him when people, and he has a reason. He said, they have been sacrificing, waiting for me, so why deprive them, no, of this opportunity?
Thank you, Your Eminence.
So thank you very much, Mello.
Father Lombardi's thoughts, please?
But, yes, but I have practically the same to say. Our experience is that he has an incredible energy and a good capacity to retrieve to recuperate the energy with 2 hours rest. Sometimes he has cancelled some little event in Rome because he was too tired, and he said, I will not do a good service being too tired with the people, and then I prefer to cancel. I sleep 2 hours, and then it begins again. This is wonderful. Is very, very. It can very soon be again in good condition. But I have also to say that we are always very surprised that a man of his age can do what he is doing in Rome and also abroad. I have asked him once during the journey in Korea, because it was also very, very surprising. And he said me, yeah, this is the grace of state, grazia di Stato, come dice?
Grace of office.
Grace of office. That is, if God gives you a particular charge, God gives you also what you need to do this charge. And then I have received from God this mission to serve as pastor the church, and God gives me strength that I had never thought to have. And this, for me, he is the first person that is surprised how he can, in these years, do so much. And in this sense, he explains this clearly in a spiritual way as a gift of God that helps him to do his service for the church.
Thank you very much,
Father Lombardi.
Thank
IMC, we look forward to having an exchange with you again tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
Yes, as an expression of mercy and compassion to our panelists who haven't had lunch yet, correct? May we have the last question here from the floor, or last two. Would that be okay? Can we have last two questions, the last two questions? Okay, that lady in blue, and then to be followed by the gentleman.
Good evening, Fathers. Daniel Gabriel po from UST Varsitarian. Fathers, I would like to go back po to the itinerary. You mentioned everything was accomplished. Can we know more about the candle lighting at the mass grave? Were there the prayers? Was that also accomplished po? Mass grave po.
At the mass grave?
Yes.
I was not immediately near to him, but as he came out of the cathedral before taking the Pope Mobile, he was there, and he has given a blessing. This sure, but I don't think that he has also the candle lighting. But sure, is the blessing that he has given to the memorial. This is clear. In this precise moment of coming out from the cathedral before going taking the Pope Mobile.
The gentleman in blue. Yes, and then we'll have the final question from the gentleman in brown. The final question.
Father Lombardi, could you tell us what did the Pope do this afternoon since 2 p.m. until now? Thank you very much.
Rest. Yes, this is. We are all happy that after this morning that was very, very engaging, and he has decided not to take new initiative during the afternoon, but to rest, so to be prepared for tomorrow. I don't know if this evening he will have new ideas, but until 7 it was not previewed, and he had to go to dinner at 7.
He probably rested and dreamt like Saint Joseph. And the gentleman?
Good evening, Minardo Macaraig, John's Front Press. To either of the gentlemen. Sir, there's supposed to be the typhoon coming closer to Manila, and it might cause even stronger rains and winds during the Mass tomorrow at Luneta, perhaps causing the same kind of danger that happened in Leyte. Is there any anticipation of any changes or anything that might happen if the typhoon does approach Manila?
I mean, maybe the event this morning was a rehearsal for tomorrow, so he'll be an expert on that.
So, a round of applause, please. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, before your closing statement, Your Eminence, I just would like to read to you an announcement regarding the Quirino Grandstand event tomorrow. So, do we have some media coordinators here who could possibly answer some questions after I've announced this and close the press briefing? One, pre-selected media personnel should proceed to the International Media Center, the tent in Manila Hotel, at 6 a.m. Two, those with general media access, yes, 6 a.m. Those with general media access ID should proceed to Orosa entrance. They are assigned to the quadrants on the left and on the right side behind the bleachers. Gate opens at 6 a.m. Once inside, you will no longer be allowed to leave the premises. Please make sure to bring your necessities. 3. General public are encouraged to bring Santo Niño images, statues to the Mass. Your Eminence. Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow we have the youth, another favorite dialogue partner of our Pope, and the Mass in honor of the Santo Niño, the child Jesus. So the youth, and then in the evening, the Mass of the child. So I'm looking forward to his sharing. What does it mean for all of us to be childlike? For indeed, he is also a good example of childlikeness, in his humility, in his energy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, so that ends today's press briefing on the short but sweet encounter in Tacloban. Have a blessed evening, everyone. God bless you all.
Thank you.